Thanks everyone for stopping by. Welcome to today's webinar, How to Build Your Social Media Empire with MAPS coach Dina Watson. I'll try to make this short and sweet. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available within 24 hours on the MAPS Group YouTube channel. I will share that link in the chat box momentarily. Currently everyone is on mute. However, Dina does value group participation and engagement. So if you have any questions for her, please type them into the chat box at the bottom of the screen. Following the meeting, if you have any questions about today's call or any of our coaching programs, please email us at fasttrack, FASTTRACK @kw.com. That's all for me, Dina. The floor is yours.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and also put my email address in the chat box. It just went in there. So if you guys have any questions about the content or the class that we're going to talk about at the end, if you want to take the full course that I do, please send me an email to that address and I will help you out with that. But thank you guys so much for joining us on a Monday and after Easter Monday, which means you guys are all the eager people who are back to work after the holidays. Super cool. My goal for these webinars really is we're going to be here together for 30 minutes. And I want to make sure that within 30 minutes, you guys are getting at least one thing that you can take from this session and add to your business. Now, I don't expect that we're going to break any records here or shatter anyone's, view of the social media world, but I do hope that there's something in here that you guys can all take out of this to add to what you're already doing, or maybe just to improve upon something that you think you do really well. As always, if you guys have questions or if you want me to answer something, if you put it in the chat box, I will get to it as soon as I see it. And the last 2 minutes are really reserved for Q&A. So if there is any question in there I haven't answered, I will answer it in the last 2 minutes. Or if you have a more lengthy question that you want one-on-one attention with, send me an email. And my email is dinawatson@kw.com, which is in the chat box. So to give you a little bit of an idea of who I am, and I'm going to kind of skip over this really quickly. I am a MAPS coach that coaches one-on-one. Also part of the founding task force for KW military, which is something I'm super excited about. My husband is a Green Beret in the US Army and we move a lot. We are actually, like I told you, in the middle of another move right now. I think I drove 600 and something miles over the weekend to get my stuff here. And if you saw what I'm working on, I literally have the crappiest table I brought to do this in a box. Like you guys are sitting on a box right now full of books. So a lot of knowledge under here. We move every few years. And the reason that this course that I teach at MAPS became a thing is because every 2 or 3 years, I get the honor and privilege of starting over, moving to a totally new place that I don't know, starting my life over completely, starting my contacts list, my sphere. And one of the things I realized was through branding and being obsessive compulsive, as it says on here, OCD about branding and making a name for myself, I've actually never had the dip of business where I just had nothing. Whenever you're doing things like this, if you go into it a little earlier than when you actually have to be there, it really helps to not have dips in that. But all of that has been done for free through social media. I now run a team. We sell about 150 homes that I'm not in sales anymore, and I'm still able to do that and make connections through social media. So this is still something that I'm very much still involved in. If you guys want to connect with me after this class, those are the 3 places that you can do so other than my email. Dina Watson on Facebook. People call me Diana. If someone's saying something with a D and Watson at KW, it's probably me. They just don't know how to pronounce my name, and that's okay. Instagram, you can also rip off and duplicate anything that you see. So if you guys are coming and looking for content ideas, please take them and run with them. I own the rights to nothing and I've stolen everything myself. So just make sure that you make it your own, steal whatever you need to help yourself. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to chase you down. All right, so let's kick this off. I want to ask, and you can put it in the chat box if you want to, you don't have to, but if you don't choose to put it in the chat box, write it down. I want you to ask yourself, like when you guys think about somebody who has a massive social media business, I want you to think about that for yourself. When you think of yourself as somebody who could have a massive social media business, what number of sales actually comes to mind for you? So if you could sell blank number of homes on social media, you would consider that massively impactful. What number is that? Someone said 50. Ann said 50. 30. Chris Hodges, you're right down the street from me, friend. Molly says 68, 36. 68 is a very specific number, Molly. That's interesting. 30s, 36, cool. So I want you to think now about how much you've actually sold from social media over the last 12 months. And if you want to write the number down, you can. You don't have to, but if you choose, yeah, everyone's like 0. Okay, so I want you to, when we get off of this, we're not going to be able to go into this for everybody while we're here, but as you all can see, if you're watching the chat box, there's a massive gap between the zeros coming through and the 30s to 50s that people think of as a massive business. When we get done with this, right before you go on to the rest of your life, I want you, oh, someone said they took $885,000 listing from social media. That's awesome, Julie. So I want you to think about what lies in the gap. That's the biggest question. Honestly, you guys, that's why coaching companies get paid millions of dollars a year collectively, is to help people figure out what lies in the gap. You said you wanted 30, you have 0. What's in the middle? What's in the way? What do you not know? Answer some of these questions when we get off of here today, and that will help you guys go forward with a path on what to do next. Now, I also want you to think about, what do you put out about yourself, right? A lot of us will put that we play soccer, or I've seen a lot of people post that they are into CrossFit, they do crafts. If you look at your personal social media page, when we hang up today, I want you to go back and look at it through the eyes of someone that would not know you. I'm going to ask you to answer one question, and there are going to be a ton of answers in this question. What would someone assume to be true about you based on what they see? Some of you are not writing, and you should be. What is something that you think people would think about you based on what they see? What is something that you would assume to be true based on what they see? And I'm asking you to answer that because majority of you, and I don't know all of you, but I would assume a majority of you don't actually share that you sell real estate enough for people to really think that you are in real estate and you have a massive business. Some of you post your kids, people would assume you're a great parent. Some people post your travels, people would assume that you're always gone. But rarely do you guys post enough about your business for it to sink in with someone because you think you're promoting yourself too much. Here's the actual stat. Majority of people never see what you post, or if they do, they'll see it once. We assume that if we're posting constantly, people are watching constantly, and you guys, people don't care that much about us to watch as much as we think they do. If I'm being honest with you, people don't care as much about me or you or Graham or Chris. I see Chris on here and I know him. People don't care as much about us as we think that they do. So we stop sharing because we don't want to be annoying. They're not watching that often. Keep sharing. So today I'm going to ask you, when we get off of here, take a screenshot of this and answer these 4 questions other than the one I just gave you. 1, what do you think is possible for you? 2, what skills or knowledge is missing? That's what's the gap. So what you think is possible, what's in the gap? What are the beliefs that you hold to be true about your ability to reach that potential? Are you not well-spoken enough? Is your hair not nice enough? Do you not wear makeup enough? Are you not stylish enough? Do you feel like you don't know enough content? There's going to be tons of things that come into that answer, but I want you to answer it for yourself privately. What do you think is limiting you from actually doing it? And before someone smart emails me, I know I have a typo in number 3. I already read it a long time ago. Number 4, what assumptions do you personally make about people who spend a lot of time in social media? If you didn't take a screenshot of that, I can email them to you later. But those are the 4 questions to answer for yourself. So the first thing, you guys, is you guys actually have to lean into this idea that you are a brand. So step number 1 to this whole thing, and what we're going to spend most of our time today talking about, there's a second part to this webinar if you guys want to do it. And you can also, like I said, take the full class if you choose to. But today, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about building your brand and your branding. The reason I say that is because however many realtors there are in your city, in Fayetteville where I live, there are 2,600 and something. When we're all sharing listings and nothing looks different, we are all sharing listings and nothing looks different. When all we're doing is talking about real estate, we look the same as the newest person who just got their license. And no offense to those of you who are new, I'm just saying, for those of us who are not, and all we're doing is sharing our name and listings, we look no different than you do. To our clients, to the public, we don't look any more educated, any more knowledgeable. We don't look any different. And when we all look the same, no one knows who to pick. I don't know about you, but I've been the person who's come into a market and gotten more sales than I deserve because I just shared about myself and I branded myself. We all have that. That new agent that's taking your market by storm, what are they doing that you're not? They're sharing that they're in the business. They're sharing their knowledge. They probably read the article 5 minutes ago and they came on Facebook and did a video about it. And you guys are upset because they're taking your territory. Stop getting upset and start turning the camera on and shooting your knowledge, right? What do you know? But the other reason to build a brand, you guys, and especially as a real estate agent, is there's so much noise in our space that if none of us look different, no one remembers you. In order for us to get business, we have to become memorable. So what you do to stand out, whether it's a logo, colors, telling the right story, whatever it may be, and we'll talk about some of them today, it's imperative, and I say imperative to your future, that you do that. The bar of entry in real estate is the lowest that it's probably ever been, and there's likely more agents in your marketplace than there has ever been. These 5 things, if you really nail them, are going to become the components of a strong brand for yourself that you can build off of to make yourself stick out and look different. So number 1, every major brand has some sort of recognition in these 5 areas. They're known for something, good or bad, in these 5 areas. And if you lean into this and you figure out what your answers are, you will also become known for this in the real estate space in your community. So number 1, the most important one is, what is your brand identity? And these are the questions you guys should be answering when we get off of here. And I hope you've never seen it laid out this way, but these are the 5 components of every person's brand. Whether you have them or don't, doesn't matter. They're still there. So number 1, brand identity. What's your logo? What are your colors? What do people see when they see you? When they look at what you're doing online, what is it that they see? That's your brand identity. Second, and if you guys take the full course, we actually go into each one of these in depth, but for 30 minutes, I want to narrow it down. Secondly, the purpose of your brand. So I'm going to share this with you really quickly. A long time ago, when I first started getting into branding, I said, I service the military. That's my niche. That's my thing. That's not actually niched down enough to make any kind of difference. And I'll tell you why. There are hundreds of thousands, I would assume, of people who are in the military, and about 40 or so thousand people who come in and out of Fort Bragg every couple of years. Their families transition in and out of our area. And if everyone is in the military and everyone services the military, that means no one is really known for it, because we all are. No one sticks out for that. What I started realizing was I don't actually care to serve the whole military. I care to serve the special operations community, because that's the part of the military myself and my husband are a part of. So when we look at what's our purpose, our brand purpose has to align with our target audience. So in order for you to know how to impact people with your messaging, you have to know who you are, who they are, which is not on this, but who you are, who they are, and what's the purpose behind your brand. This could also be known as your why statement. Why are you in business? It's something that's really important, because without number 2, you cannot effectively do any of the rest of these. Most people make it to number 1. If you're a pretty great agent, you'll figure out your identity at some point. But what tells the complete story and sells people on you are all 5 of these. And if you don't know your purpose or who you're serving, you can't possibly craft a message that makes any kind of sense to anybody. Okay? So brand messaging, that's basically what we just went into. Once you figure out who you are and what you do and why you do it and who you do it for, your brand messaging is the actual message that you're sending out to the world for them to respond to. Some of you will have heard of this as MOFR. It's something they're talking about a lot in the Market Center and at Keller Williams International right now. MOFR is MOFIR, and it's things like the guaranteed sale, right? So it's make an offer for instant response. Now, when you're making an offer for instant response in social media, you have to make sure that the problem you're trying to solve and the person you're trying to solve it for are in alignment. If someone's trying to solve a problem for me that I don't have, that message does not land with me. And if I know who they are, who I am, and what my purpose is, and I can communicate that through messaging, through crafting ads, really amazing email newsletter subject lines. So some of you might do email marketing. We spend a ton of time crafting the subject line, because that's what most people don't open. They don't open it because of the subject. but we don't spend that much time on that. We move on to something sexier and nicer. All of those things are brand messaging. How do people actually receive your information? Now, number 4 is what actually makes you different. So brand differentiation. Why should people use you as opposed to anyone else? You have to learn how to effectively communicate that, or it doesn't land with anyone. And the last one, the last component of an amazing brand is brand experience. So when someone sees you or comes across you in public or sees your website or sees your Facebook page or your Instagram reels or whatever, what's the experience that you're giving them? Now, I know you can't answer all of these, and I'm sure you're really freaking confused right now because there's a lot of stuff you haven't heard before, right? Take a picture of this screen and actually spend an hour or so after we hang up from this before the end of the week answering those 5 questions. What's my identity? What's the purpose of my brand? How am I going to get the messaging out about that? What makes me different? And what's the experience that people have whenever they encounter me? Every major brand has all 5 of these things nailed. When you think about Apple, you can probably answer all of these. When you think about Amazon, you can probably answer all of these. When you think about Zappos or Nordstrom or Chick-fil-A or anyone, Ritz-Carlton, anyone who's known for their branding and their company's experience, you could probably, as a consumer, go ahead and answer all 5 of those. So where do we start with all of this? I know that we've talked about what it looks like at the end. You would have all 5 and the wheel would be complete, but where do we actually get started? First place, you guys have to really nail down who you're wanting to effectively communicate with, and that would be considered your target audience or your target demographic. Now, for me, I would tell you the farther you can niche that down or niche that down if you're in certain states in this country, the farther you can dwindle that down to it would almost seem like an insignificant amount of people. You would be like, God, that's not enough. When you finally get to the point where you're like, that's really just not enough people, you've actually realized who your actual niche is all the way at the bottom. So for us, it's not the military. That would be the top of the funnel. It's not even the special ops community. It's the special ops community spouses who are Green Beret wives. That's ours all the way down. And people are like, well, that's not enough people. Well, I don't need a little bit from everyone. I want to take massive territory in one small space and own that. That's the difference. And majority of the business that comes from our teams is in that. That would be the difference. I don't want 1 here and 2 there. And I personally don't want to be spread thin. I want to say, here's my person, here's who I'm going after, here's what I'm doing, and that's all I do. It makes life a lot easier. The next thing you have to do is determine their pain points. When you can answer what they actually have problems with, you can solve their problems. Who are they and what are their pain points? So some of you might want to put this in here if you want to go ahead and do it. We're going to wrap up here in a little bit. But who is your target market and what issues do they have? Because once you know those answers, you can start creating programs and messaging to help them. People always want to know, you guys, what's in this for me? Anytime someone is looking at anything, a book, someone sent them a podcast, you got sent this as an email or something from me or Maps, what is in this class for me? Why am I here? Everyone thinks the same thing when they look at your stuff too. If they don't have a clear pathway forward, they what? They back out, they hang up. They're done. They don't know what they need to know. They don't know what you're trying to share with them. They don't know what problems they have that you can solve. The biggest thing everyone's asking is what's in it for me and how can they help me? If they cannot help me in my head, what I have in my mind is a problem for me, then I move on to someone who can. So someone said on here, target market is downsizers or empty nesters. Your listing ads or your ads should not say just listed. It should tell a story about that family who became an empty nester that you helped move to the next phase of their life. That's the difference between messaging and marketing. Marketing is just listed. Messaging is we helped move this person to a different phase of their life. One of the last things on here that I think is important to bring up and spend time on, a lot of us communicate the features just listed in under 20 minutes for 100,000 offers over, but we don't communicate the benefit. Features don't sell products. Benefits sell products. Features get people to open the email. Benefits get people to click on it and buy something. So think about that in terms of real estate. What is the feature over here, just listed? I can sell your home in 2 minutes, whatever it is. But you have to connect why it benefits your target market. So we're going 1, 2, 3 here. Okay. So first things first, you guys have to determine who you're working with. Second, what are their pain points, and be able to communicate the features that you have that benefit solving those problems. Once you guys can do that, you'll start to see a whole ton more engagement on social media, and you won't actually have to sell anybody anything. You'll just have them raise their hand. They'll want to work with you. So the thing I want to land here, and we're going to move through these slides. If you want to take a picture of it, you can, just to get all of the content in here. But target marketing, you guys, coupled with being able to tell your story effectively, makes it seem like, okay, some of you probably went to church yesterday. This is Easter and it's Sunday. Have you ever been in a sermon, in a class, in a webinar, and you thought, my God, who told them I had this problem? How did they know I needed this today? You are their target audience, and they know your pain points. Therefore, it hits you like a ton of bricks. If we know what we do and why we do it and who we want to do it with, it will also hit them like a ton of bricks, just like it did with you when you were sitting there listening to that message. So you make sure you're attracting the right people with your messaging. Now, if some of you want to go deeper with this, there's a book called Building a Story Brand, and it's by Donald Miller. It's a really amazing book that talks about how to actually build a brand around the right story to attract the right people, build a story brand. And he also has a podcast that you can listen to. The gentleman's name is Donald Miller, and I'll put that in the chat box. You can also listen to it on Audible. It's a pretty good listen. So here's some other content for how you build the correct target audience. Number 1, who is it? The first question you have to answer is who. And if you want to screenshot this, go for it. We're going to go fast so I can get you guys out of here on time. Second question you have to answer is what? What are the issues that you're trying to solve for that person? Third, you have to answer why, that this group of people is the one that you're targeting. And the second why is, why are you the person to solve their problem and no one else? Okay, so your first 3, who, what, why. The last one, where. Where are these people located? Where do you find them? Where can they find you? Do you need to join a club? Do you need to go to a different place? Do you need to change your daily routine? You guys, we all drive the same route. We go to the same coffee shops. We eat at the same places. We talk to the same people. And then we expect to get more business every year. Well, why would we? We don't change anything that we do. We don't go to a different place. So think about, if you have a target audience that doesn't meet who you're wanting to sell to, where do they exist? Where do they work? Where do they play? Where do they live? Where do they go? All of that. Once you've identified your target audience, the next thing you need to spend time on is getting crystal clarity, like to the point where it would smack somebody in the face if they saw it, on who this person is, where you find them, what are the problems they have. And I know I'm repeating myself. This is the most important part of building a brand that actually returns clients to you. For those of you who said you had 0 sales, it's because everything you posted landed with no one. And I hate to say that, and that sounds harsh. I'm not known for being nice. I'll tell you that. If you know me, I'm not known for being kid glovey. But if you're not selling anything on social media, but you are posting about real estate on social media, I'm not saying if you're not selling and you're not posting, that's a different problem. But if you're posting and you're not getting leads or selling to anyone, you're not solving enough people's problems, or no one knows you have problems of theirs to solve. If they knew that and it landed through the messaging in the story, you would be selling something. When people start to notice that you're the person to solve their problem, they will naturally gravitate towards you. So I'm going to say that again. If you're not selling as much as you want to on social media, and yet you are posting on it, you're not solving a problem. There's something in the middle that's broken. You have to figure out what's the broken piece. Is it your messaging? Are you not clear enough on the problem you're solving, or can you not necessarily communicate it effectively? Those are all 3 of the biggest ones. I'm also going to put this up here, let you screenshot the features and benefits explanation. A feature might be, I sell homes 5 days sooner on average than other realtors in my area. The benefit conversation might be, because I sell homes 5 days faster than any other agent in my area, I can blah, 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 or you can blah, 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 blah. It's connected in the middle by an I can, you can, we can. Therefore, there's a transition word in there that normally ties those 2 things together. Most of us communicate in features only, you guys, and people don't know why we're the person to solve their problem. These are all the same things. Now, to go a little deeper on identifying their pain points, number one, you can gain perspective by simply asking them. You're my ideal person. What problems do you see right now? What's happening in the market that scares you? Everyone today, tag me on it. Add me as a friend on Facebook and tag me. Put this in your Facebook page. The engagement you get will be insane, I promise. What concerns you about the trajectory of the real estate market right now? Asking for a friend. You will get tons. What concerns you about the real estate market right now? You will get tons of engagement. And here's the thing. If you're paying attention and you're listening, every answer on there is an opportunity to create content. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And that would be you searching for insight. Man, Graham, I ended us in 30 minutes. Y'all, I normally go over this by like 15 minutes and Graham's like, man, I have stuff to do today. No, I'm just kidding. He doesn't say that. Graham and I are a dynamic duo, but I did end you guys in 15 minutes. I hope you got at least a couple questions you can ask yourself, some things that you can do. As always, for those of you who came in late, I am going to go ahead and put my name back in the, or my email address back in the chat box if you have any questions I didn't answer. But what's next? When we leave today, first of all, post that question like right now and text me or send me an email. Let me know what the engagement was like. Next, I want you guys to spend time documenting all 5 of those components. And we talked about it at the beginning and I asked you to screenshot it. It was identity, messaging, purpose, differentiation. You get the point. That was what I was talking about. Identify who your actual target audience is with the who, what, why, and where. And then write out the pain points they have and the features and benefits. Last, if you want a bonus, we do have a full 8-week course that goes over all this stuff in depth. Some of you have been on it before because I see your face. I actually rewrote it, and this is the first new edition of what we did that got approved. Poor Graham helped me get this thing pushed through before we can launch this one. But we got new content. We put it in there. We've got some different stuff in there. I think probably 90% of it is different. Poor Graham was like, did you just change some slides? I was like, no, I redid the whole thing. Have fun. So we redid the whole thing. We added what was new, what was relevant, and we're launching it again tomorrow, actually. So if you want to join us, he has posted the link to 2 things, the YouTube page where this recording will be found. And then you can also go to the MAPS website and join us. It's on mapscoaching.com/group, and you will look for the name of this, this webinar. We start at 2 Central tomorrow. It is $199 for the full 8 weeks. You actually get 2 months after that to rewatch everything. There are workbooks that are also newly created. Graham and I proudly got our workbooks to now be the new standard for all of MAPS, just raising the bar over here. So we're working through getting all that stuff swapped out for you guys, and that will be available starting tomorrow at 2. If you got any other questions, let me know. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and I will see you later. And you guys are all welcome. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.